Many people believe that diabetes is simply high blood sugar levels due to excessive sugar consumption, but this is far from the whole truth. High blood sugar levels are a signal that should not be ignored under any circumstances, and they can manifest in the most unexpected symptoms. Be sure not to miss it, because I will share an interesting fact about the connection between artificial light and diabetes. In Tibetan medicine, diabetes is considered a disease of frequent urination and elevated sugar levels in the urine. When there was no way to perform blood tests, no laboratory, when a person went to a doctor of Tibetan medicine, they always brought their urine with them, and the doctor would determine many diseases based on the urine. He would taste it, check its color, see if sediment formed or not. He performed many manipulations with the urine. Of course, such things are not done nowadays, but in Tibetan medicine, diabetes is generally believed to arise from stagnation and mucus in the body. Dry mouth, excessive thirst, non-healing wounds. Most likely, you have already heard about these symptoms. Today we will talk about the symptoms that are less frequently discussed, and we will also analyze what to do about them. Of course, high blood sugar does not mean that diabetes is already present. It could be insulin resistance, which can be completely reversed. The first symptom is frequent trips to the bathroom. People with elevated blood sugar levels experience excessive thirst. This is pathological thirst. It's not because we lose fluid because it's hot, etc., but simply because we constantly want to drink. But as soon as we quench our thirst, we constantly feel like eating and experience increased appetite. And since we drink a lot and eat a lot, naturally, we go to the bathroom frequently. The next sign is an increase in waist volume or excess fat around the abdomen. This occurs because, with elevated blood sugar levels, the body starts producing more insulin. Insulin increases appetite, meaning a person begins to eat more. And all this leads to the gradual accumulation of visceral fat, specifically in the abdominal area. There are two types of fat: subcutaneous fat and visceral fat. Visceral fat is internal fat. It has been proven that internal fat is much more dangerous than subcutaneous fat. With an increase in visceral fat, systemic chronic inflammatory processes occur internally, which disrupt the functioning of all systems in our body and create fertile ground for the development of many diseases. From the perspective of Tibetan medicine, this is the accumulation of mucus in the body. The next sign is acanthosis. This is dryness, itching, and darkening of the skin, particularly in the armpits, groin, and the appearance of dark spots on the elbows and dry skin on the elbows. This happens because elevated blood sugar levels lead to the synthesis of insulin-like growth factor type 1, which increases epidermal acanthosis. Put simply, skin nutrition is disrupted. You know that our skin is nourished not externally, but internally. Meaning, we can use kilograms of creams externally, but if the skin isn't nourished internally, no matter what we do, we'll have wrinkles, sagging skin, dryness, itching, irritation, and so on. The next sign is candidiasis, which is the exacerbation or flare-up of yeast and fungal infections. This infection can worsen in skin folds, again, the foreskin of the penis, in the armpit and groin folds, and so on. Women may frequently experience a flare-up of thrush. All this arises due to disruptions and a decrease in the function of the local immune system. The local immune system decreases because diabetes or high blood sugar damages small blood vessels. In these areas, blood flow deteriorates and the immune system is weakened. Many people treat locally, meaning they address the symptoms. They apply various antifungal creams and take antifungal medications, but they don't realize that the cause might be elevated blood sugar levels. The next sign is excessive sweating at night. This sweating is not because it's hot or stuffy, and it's not hot flashes. Excessive sweating with high blood sugar levels occurs because during the night, the sympathetic nervous system becomes activated, leading to the activation of sweat gland functions and perspiration. This happens because changes in blood sugar levels, in our case, elevation, cause stress to the body. That is, our body experiences stress. When we sleep, the parasympathetic nervous system works. Our body is fully relaxed, and the respiratory, cardiac, and somewhat the digestive systems work. But when blood sugar levels rise, when the body experiences stress, the activity of the sympathetic nervous system also appears, leading to the activation of sweat glands. This sign is not a clear indicator of elevated blood sugar, and it needs to be considered in conjunction with other signs I mentioned. Another sign is worsening vision. Specifically, the clarity of vision deteriorates. Floating black or gray spots appear before the eyes, or sensations of cobwebs or veils before the eyes may occur. This happens because elevated blood sugar levels damage the inner walls of blood vessels, which in turn damage the blood vessels of the retina. It is generally believed that even short-term elevations in blood sugar levels significantly affect blood vessels because sugar molecules themselves are traumatic to the inner walls of blood vessels and damage them. Naturally, the smallest blood vessels, the capillary beds, suffer first. And the next sign is constant hunger and constant fatigue. This occurs because elevated blood sugar levels force our body to produce a lot of insulin to control the elevated sugar levels. Insulin activates all hunger hormones, and our hunger gets activated. A lot of patients come to me saying, "I constantly want to eat. At the same time, I eat and get no energy from food. I constantly feel tired. All my habits lead to one thing. I gain weight, swell up, get fatter, always want to sleep. And I also experience heightened alertness." Such patients, of course, I refer for tests. For insulin and glycated hemoglobin to understand if the person has insulin resistance or type 2 diabetes. If not, we figure out dietary habits. Sometimes incorrect eating habits can also lead to such results, which, by the way, over time, they will definitely lead to insulin resistance and type 2 diabetes. What tests should be taken? Here I want to say that we really need to be attentive to our bodies. And we should take tests, not just because we feel some illness. After the age of 40, every 5 years, we should always take certain tests. This includes a complete blood count, lipid profile analysis, insulin test, and glycated hemoglobin test. From this, we will see the state of our metabolism. If our insulin level rises above 7 to 8, these are the first warning signs of insulin resistance. If it's 10 to 15, those are actually reference values. Reference values for insulin range from about 2.7 to 26. You should understand that type 2 diabetes is a condition treated by the state. And the range of these indicators is very broad. Insulin should be kept at a maximum of 6 to 7, and if your glycated hemoglobin is above 6, then it's already type 2 diabetes. And of course, there is such a test as glucose, which is not always informative as it depends on many factors like when you last ate, what you had for dinner the night before, and so on. If your glucose is consistently at the level of 5.6 to 5.8, this already indicates that you have sugar-related issues. Therefore, you need to change your lifestyle and diet. What to do if you have insulin resistance or type 2 diabetes? From the perspective of Tibetan medicine, if your glycated hemoglobin is below 6, even 5.9, or even 6, this is a reversible phase. First and foremost, you need to change your lifestyle and diet. Switch to a low-carb diet, change your eating regimen, stop eating after 6 p.m., add more physical activity. Essentially, follow all the recommendations I give in all my videos. And of course, you can come to me or to a Tibetan medicine doctor. And with the help of herbal mixtures, there are many herbal mixtures that eliminate mucus stagnation in the body, activate metabolism, improve the sensitivity of our cells to insulin, calm the production of this insulin, and improve the function of the pancreas, specifically the beta cells that produce insulin. But I prescribe these mixtures during personal consultations, or sometimes, if a person sends me their test results, I can do an online consultation because these are herbal mixtures, not medicines, not dietary supplements, and they can be prescribed. But I always prescribe them individually. I cannot put them up in an online store for everyone to buy because, again, different causes exist. We understood that due to these symptoms, we realized that diabetes or elevated blood sugar levels give different symptoms, and different causes can also be present. And acupuncture is also very helpful for insulin resistance. This method involves placing needles in specific biologically active points. Thereby, we tune or adjust the body properly as a system, the functioning of the body as a system. But if your glycated hemoglobin is 6.2 to 6.5, and here the person's age is always considered, right? You must definitely consult with an endocrinologist and specifically a diabetologist, and proceed from their prescriptions. Plus, of course, you can always use herbal mixtures, acupuncture as additional help, but here you always need to know and understand that the main thing is your lifestyle and diet. Even if medications are prescribed to you, you definitely need to change your diet, your lifestyle, switch to a low-carb diet. So, an interesting fact. There is one very simple, yet effective and efficient way to reduce the risk of developing type 2 diabetes. Alongside regular preventive measures such as diets and exercise, I found a very interesting study that gives us another way to reduce the risk of developing type 2 diabetes. In the study, the link to which I will leave in the description, it states that people who were exposed to the most light from 12:30 a.m. to 6 a.m. had 1.5 times the risk of developing diabetes compared to people who were in the dark during this time. How can nighttime light increase the risk of developing type 2 diabetes? Nighttime light can disrupt the circadian rhythm or the internal 24-hour cycle of our body. Scientists know that the circadian rhythm is important for all kinds of biological processes occurring in our body, including how our body manages blood sugar levels. Our body's internal clock regulates the body's need for food, sugar absorption, insulin secretion. Disruption in the regulation of the circadian rhythm is associated with insulin resistance, a precursor to type 2 diabetes. Melatonin also plays a very important role in regulating insulin sensitivity. Melatonin is a hormone of the pineal gland. Thus, melatonin controls our response to sugar and insulin. And people who were chronically exposed to artificial light at night had decreased melatonin levels. And because of this, their sensitivity to insulin decreased. This led to an increased risk of developing type 2 diabetes. Of course, this is still just a study, but it once again shows how important sleep patterns are, adhering to a sleep schedule. And not only the sleep schedule, but also the conditions in which we sleep. Therefore, watch this video. In it, I explain how to improve sleep conditions.